This is what you want out of this, right?
Go ahead.
I'm here with Tom Woods at Nullify Now. I was going to ask Tom, thanks for coming out, Tom.
My pleasure.
I wanted to ask your general impression about a lot of people, particularly Mark Levin, seems to be forming a group, or there's impetus behind this idea of Constitutional Convention and Liberty Amendments. What's your general impression about what he's proposing?
Well, this idea of an amendments convention and the particular amendments that are at stake here are not original with Mark Levin. I mean, people have been calling for this for a long time. A lot of people have said these are useful amendments, and then Levin jumped on the bandwagon. So, whatever. It doesn't matter to me when he came on board. But there are two objections that have been commonly advanced against it. Well, three. I mean, one would be it's very difficult to do it, pull it off. Secondly, another would be the convention could just be a runaway convention, right? It would be, maybe we would wind up getting the Communist Manifesto out of this thing. So there's that concern. And I'll be darned if I can remember what the third thing is. It's just there's some other thing. Good grief, I'm getting too old here. Hang on a minute, you'll have to edit this out.
It wouldn't be tax deductible to have the
Oh,
meeting.
no. All right, I got it. And the other objection is that, well, they're not obeying the Constitution now, so why would they obey your amendments? Now, on that objection, I think that one actually is a weaker objection than it seems, because if all Levin's amendments were asking for was, okay, this is really what the General Welfare Clause means, no, they're not going to listen to that either. But if he makes a structural change to the system, and he says that from now on, well, I prefer the fraction 2/3. If 2/3 of the states say that a federal law is unconstitutional, it's automatically repealed, not just nullified in those states, but repealed altogether. Well, how are they going to interpret that in a different way? Like that just is what it is. That would be a structural change. Now, if that amendment could be passed, and of course you don't need to do that through a constitutional or an amendments convention. You could do that through the other method of amending. I think that would be a beneficial thing. That would help to make up for the fact that the 17th Amendment and 14th Amendment, all these other things, have hurt the cause of states' rights. So you need to undo that in some way, and I think this would maybe rebalance it. Now, I used to be much more, I think the likelihood of this happening is very low. Like, I would be shocked if in my lifetime one of these amendments conventions actually occurred. But I will say that I'm less concerned about it than I used to be, because I used to be concerned that if we have a convention, then you never know what would come out of it. Could nutcase stuff could come out of it. You would have to persuade 3/4 of the states to ratify nutcase amendments, but then I stopped and thought, well, what am I actually afraid of? Am I afraid that they will give us a Congress that can legislate on anything it wants to? Am I afraid they're going to give us a court system that'll just rubber stamp everything the federal government does? Am I afraid they'll give us a president who spies on people and can send troops anywhere in the world he wants? Why would I be afraid of that when that's what we already have? So people who say, oh, we could get this nightmare scenario, we're living in the nightmare scenario. So that's why I'm not so, it's because I'm so pessimistic about where we are now that I'm not as skeptical of the convention, because I don't see how it could get a lot worse.
Sure. Robert Nadelson seems to be pushing for this. Have you spoken with him about this?
No, I don't know him, actually. I mean, I know who he is, and I've cited some of his work, but I don't actually know him. No, I've never spoken with him.
Well, thank you much.
Okay,
Appreciate
sure.
it.
Yeah. All right. Hope that was helpful. It was a little
Very.
bit